Good morning. It's time for the fastest live stream west of Mississippi. I'm Artisan MC. It's the CArtisan MC. I thought it was funny today. I remember what day it was. 2/23/23, which makes today 4 or 5 year anniversary of putting content up on my channel. Which I thought I should do something while I'm driving, even though I've been trying to be a little bit more reserved in my Cartisan streams as of late. But I figured today was a good day to do something. That was a dumb move, Tesla. You could have ended up in a fireball. Anyway, what's good, no one? If you can see me now, just give me a one. Or if you can hear me now, just give me a one. My phone was still switched to speakerphone from last night. So it usually takes a while for the car to connect. So anyway, I went back and watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith again last night, which I am really enjoying that show, and I can probably count on one hand how many people I've gotten to watch that show. So I really do need to finish up that review and get it out there because I do want more people to actually watch the show so we can actually talk about it on Sunday because I'm interested in talking about it and breaking it down. And coming from a place of interest for me is better than coming from a place where there is no interest at all. That's just how intentional it is. But I'm seeing the news in Geekdom today about all this wokeness being stuffed into this X-Men 97 cartoon. Like, yeah, it's a chode filled cannoli. Yeah, it is. Yeah. In cartoon form. What are your kids? Yeah, you. I guess that'll make people who make anime just back up and shudder in fear that Disney and Marvel are two of them. Some animation that people like. That shit is so stupid. Look, I'm getting marshmallows ready just to watch people losing their mind over this shit next month. Because all kinds of channels is gonna blow up over this shit. And I'm gonna be sitting back watching it, asking anybody did they read the comics lately? Did they read the comics lately? Do they have any idea what has been going on with these characters in the last 5 years? The last 3 years, mind you. Do they know? If they did, none of this shit is surprising. They already did it in the comics. To greater or lesser success. But for me, I'm gonna sit there and shake my head like, yeah, well, what you gonna do about it? You gonna bitch about it, or you gonna do something about it? Because we can all join in on bitching about it. But not all of us are young enough, intelligent enough to actually, get into these organizations like, these work ourselves into a position to start writing the narrative ourselves. Or sitting down and creating alternative media to this. Yeah, it takes time. Yeah, it takes money. Yeah. All of this shit takes time and money. Took time for them activists to get in there too. You didn't see them bitching about it, did you? I think this is where I am on this shit because I'm further enough, I don't know, out of the mix of this shit to actually look at it from a distance and see the dust up and the brawl happening. Like, you should have grabbed that chair. You know, you should have avoided this shit by doing that work. Could have. But since you didn't, now you get to sit here on the sideline bitching about the plays that's being played. When you have no skin in the game and no ambition to do anything about it. So I'm really questioning why do I need to listen to you bitch? It's going to be the same thing every time. I don't even see the need to bitch about it. I could point it out for the sake of pointing it out, but I'm not going to harp on it. You will not see me hitting that slow punch bag 50 times. Why? Maybe I've rolled into old man apathy. But I'm really coming to understand some of this shit is not my fucking fight. It's not. Yes, I have seen things that I love ruined. But the one thing I hold to is I still have the original versions. I got to grow up on the original movie. Like Lorian told Sheridan in the Shadows in the Vorlons, this is for the younger races now. And they are going to have to fight their own fucking battles. Because if they like that shit, they're going to have to support it. And if they don't like that shit, they're going to have to stop supporting. And that's plain and simply what it is. If you look at all these box office flops and all these campaigns that pushing this agenda that fail and lose numbers, that's their audience number. That means the older people who know better pulled their money out of it. And like all bubbles, artificially created and natural, they will bust. Because it cannot be supported by the people they're trying to pander to. Because the people they're trying to pander to don't support this kind of shit. So, shit gonna fall. Like, take Madam Web, for instance. I saw Madam Web, thought it was a good jumping off point. Maybe I don't fucking know movies or something. I don't fucking know. I know what I like and what I can tolerate. I didn't think it was that bad. There was bad parts in it, stupid shit in it. But look, I paid my money and I went to see that motherfucker. So I could have that opinion. As bad as the rest of the ratings were on it, what you find out is mostly men went to see that shit because it's full of chicks. And I would say most of the men that went to see it were fucking reviewers. That's what I'd say. Other than that, women didn't go see that shit. Didn't matter that Dakota Johnson was in it. So what? It ain't 50 Shades of Grey Part 2. It ain't 51 Shades. No. So there was no interest in it for them. Not really. Young girls might get the most out of it. Young girls is not a demographic that usually you see looked at on these stats and charts and shit like that. How much disposable income do they have? Could be just rushing out to the movies because they just wanted to see Madam Web. It's not there. Reason being, they want to be on a date, or their father was taking them. Either way, they're not paying for the shit. They ain't dropping their money down to go see it. So now you're at a loss. The fuck? It's a green goddamn light. So these people and their agendas are failing. But somebody will watch that shit. Somebody will. It won't be to the numbers that they want and expect and want to calculate for. It won't. It'll be to your new audience numbers, which will be low. Coming from a comic book background, a comic book industry background, they selling this shit, I understand that initial buzz outside of having a big star attached to it is low. That's what a cult following is. That's how you build an audience with low numbers, not high numbers. You get high numbers from developing a property to where everybody knows it, it's been around, and they respect it or like it. That's how you build numbers. But don't think you about to come out the box just because you put it up here and have, $1 billion hits. Fucking delusional. But any search on Instagram or TikTok or whatever can find you a bunch of delusional fucking people. Doesn't take much to find that shit at all. So my thinking is if these companies really want to stick to this agenda, they're going to have to suck up them low numbers for 10 years. In some cases, you see they're willing to do that. They're willing to accept these low numbers and low returns on massive investments. They money to burn. You don't have to pay them for that shit. You don't have to give them money for it. And that's what they're seeing. To me, that's what I see. Is those lower numbers are the actual fan base walking away, or the older fan base walking away from this shit and pulling their money out of it. They choose not to invest further. When I listen to reviews of the stuff that I see out there, what I see is older geeks pulling away from that shit. The younger geeks still want to bitch about it, but not really putting anything in to change it. Because how can you if you're out on the outside? How can you? I mean, take this Nelson Peltz shit, right? You're trying to get on the Disney board. Why is the billionaire trying to get a seat on the Disney board? Because he doesn't like the direction of what the company is doing for shareholders, right? Okay. Well, what does that mean in simple terms? It means he understands that he's going to have to put his own money up and get in a position of power, shout out to the angry man, to try to stop this goofy shit from happening. That's what he understands. As a billionaire, he understands it's going to take his time, his effort, his money to get into this system to change it, and only change it back to being profitable. Because make no mistake about it, if the shit that Disney was doing now showed that they had large returns on it, he would keep doing that too. Because profit is his motive. And whatever is fucking profitable is what he's going to ride with. Yeah, what's up, man, villain? Yeah, people out here are struggling. Yeah, people are out here struggling for some of the same reasons. I was having a conversation yesterday with my coworkers about our governor in California one day wanting to be president. And I'm like, shit. They thought I was bullshitting. I'm like, no, he does. And one of my other coworkers was talking about how much money he has got from all these other groups and stuff like that that made him a millionaire by giving people cutbacks or giving big companies cutbacks, PG&E and stuff like that. I'm like, yes. Apparently that's how the game is played. Because if it wasn't profitable, he wouldn't do it. Just like all this dumb shit they want to do now with our weapons owning, they want to tax you on being able to own a weapon. You have to register or have a list, a registry of every gun that you own, and then you have to pay taxes on it every year coming 2025, excuse me. Crazy shit. But if people weren't funding him to do it, he wouldn't. He'd be a loser. It would be a loser. Because people only do what's in their best interest, what's going to make them money. So, Gavin Newsom, Nelson Peltz, Bob Iger, Disney is no fucking different. None. The only difference is in the case of Disney, they're willing to lose massive amounts of money to do they think is in their best interest. But it's not in the best interest for the fan base at large. The larger fan base that they don't give a shit about, which is the ones who made these brands worth actually buying. Worth buying and worth making for. Because you heard many other reviewers talk about it, that all they did was buy boy brands and turn them into girl brands. Yeah. Because Disney makes princesses. They don't make princes. And that was the only downside to seeing Disney buy it. Yeah, they had large amounts of money to infuse into it. Yeah, they did. But like I tell my daughter, don't let the money make you. Make the money, don't let the money make you. The money made you sell. But the money also got your beloved characters out there turning tricks and putting on dresses. So at this point, it is what the fuck it is. Because it ain't many people with the ability jumping up to try to change this shit. Everybody's sitting back like spectators in the stands, crying and bitching and moaning. Now, I'm not sure what you can actually do about it aside from pulling the pelts or withdrawing your money from it. That's about it. That's about it. As a consumer, you either consume it or you don't. You either invest in that shit or you don't. You pull your funding from it. So they don't have you to look at as to how they can make these massive pieces of shit. But understand that them making these massive pieces of shit is a whole growth industry talking about it. 5 years ago, when I started reviewing movies and geek culture in the Black manosphere sector, it wasn't that many. It wasn't really anybody in the manosphere sector doing that shit at all. Talking about shit, black women. I didn't see and couldn't find a lot of black YouTubers reviewing shit like that. They're few and far between. Even the white ones. Nowadays, post COVID and shit like that, post lockdown, all over the place. Being varying degrees of entertaining and have large, massive fan bases or subscribers, which is interesting. Which means they make a good chunk of money off of YouTube. So to me, I really wonder if all of this shit burned down tomorrow because they couldn't make it anymore. The fan base had completely walked away. It was too much of a loser to make any money on. What would these people do with themselves? What would they talk about on their channels? How the industry needs to rebound? How they're helping to fix the industry? You know, negativity makes you more money than positivity, right? They take a hit. I thought about this with listening to music. One of my favorite groups, my rock and roll groups, is Stain, right? Aaron Lewis Stain, right? And I told somebody before, I love their music, but the music can be depressing because Aaron Lewis was going through a lot of shit, right? It was the age that he was. It was when he was making music, right? But understanding how the group functions and how making the songs and whatnot he does functions, he can never be happy because he will lose his audience. He will. 1 second, you guys. So I pointed out that he can never be happy because his career is based on him having these emotionally anguished, trying to figure out life fucking songs and deal with his inner demons. He can never not have those, or else he will not have a fucking career because that's what people know him for. So when he started making songs about his daughter and having a child and stuff like that, and they seem kind of hopeful and stuff like that, I really enjoyed those songs. Them ain't favorite songs that people play for him, though. No. And stop listening. Why? Because he was hopeful. There was something positive happening in his life. And they didn't want to hear that shit. They wanted to hear that negativity, that sorrow. And he couldn't give them that anymore. So they kind of walked away from the group. Pain and some people's suffering is profitable. If you don't think so, put in. Damn, this is going to be traffic everywhere today. Put in a YouTube search for Madam Web reactions or reviews. See how many come up. And then look at the numbers of views on those things. on those videos. And just assume that not one person watched every one of those videos. That every one of those view numbers are different people. No crossover. Then you understand the scope of the problem, how much people imbibe negativity, how much we feed on that shit, and how, by view count, how popular that shit is. Because if every one of those views is 1 penny, that YouTuber got paid a lot for that shit, didn't they? Damn, dude, I got one parking space. Everybody wants to park in front of that bitch. Unfucking believable. Anyway, all right, I gotta hustle in here, get to these ne'er do wells, but I'll just leave you with that little tidbit. I am Artisan MC. I will see you guys next time. Peace.